till you're done. Just turn 19, you've had your fun. So much in this world that looks like me or the her I'm now meant to be. Bye, everyone's got one. I'm so excited, I'm gonna look so dumb. And I could learn to walk and talk like you, or I could learn to try something brand new.
If you'll just give me 1 second, I have to get a picture of myself on stage with big TEDx sign. So just a minute. Is my hair okay? Is it good? Should I take another one? Just a minute. Should I pout? Should I pout? One of the products of our generation is the infamous selfie, of which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. We take pictures of ourselves looking really cool, doing really cool things, and then we post it to social media to try to show the world how cool our life is. And then we check back every 5 minutes to see who's liked it, right? Yes! But it's never a true representation, is it? A selfie has a very narrow perspective. We're missing a whole world of perspective, a whole world of possibilities by keeping the camera pointed at ourselves. So today, I want to take you on a journey with me to turn your camera around and point it to the world around you. As you've probably noticed, I'm not from here, and as Gavin pointed out, I am American, but I've had South Africa on my heart since I was a little girl. And I know that might be weird to you, but hear me out. I remember my dad telling me stories of Nelson Mandela when he became president and began to rebuild this great nation. And I knew then, and I know now, that I wanted to be here to be a part of that movement forward. So thank you for welcoming me into your country. It is a privilege to be here. I came 8 years ago, married my husband, a South African, lucky me. And I have been making my life here as a photographer and a social entrepreneur. I'm going to talk to you today specifically about the photography part. I get to tell stories and build bridges through the amazing medium of photography. This image is a portrait of a family that I lived next to when I was based in Uganda shortly before moving to South Africa. Mtindu and Christine made such an impact on my time there that I continue to tell their story today. It is a story of resilience, love, and laughter. Their mother continues to be a source of inspiration to me to never give up, to keep pressing forward. Her life was a light. The camera sees with light. The image is imprinted onto the film, and now memory cards, through the variances of light that filter through the lens. But what you may not realize is that the camera sees light very differently from the human eye. Have you ever tried to take a picture of yourself at a beach, only to have your face too dark or the sky and the sea behind you so bright that you can't even tell what it is? But you can learn to manipulate the settings of the camera to tell it which pods of light to pay attention to. And sometimes you need to add a little bit of extra light into those dark areas to expose the detail. Our eyes are able to do that all on their own. So I want to encourage you to turn your camera around, allow your light to shine into those dark areas around you so that you can expose the bigger picture. Nelson Mandela inspired me, as I'm sure he has inspired so many of you. But the struggle for freedom isn't over yet. It certainly didn't end in 1994, and it didn't end when he died. The responsibility lies in each and every one of us to continue the work that he started. Thuli Madonsela, South Africa's public protector, put out a tweet a few weeks ago that I wanted to share. I thought it was perfect for today. She said, "When we light another's path, we inevitably brighten our own." So I want to encourage you again to use your light to shine onto other people's path so that they can walk clearly alongside of you. This image is from the xenophobic violence outbreak of 2008, when emergency refugee camps popped up all over the country. This one happened to be 20 minutes down the road from our house. So we brought the necessary food and clothing, but we also brought face paint and balls and games to play with the children. And of course, the adults wanted to have some fun too. So this is one of the moms that came to play, and if you look closely, it's hard to see on the slide, but her daughter had used the face paint and drew hearts and wrote "I love you" on her arms that she's proudly showing in the photograph. And I love this image because it shows no matter what your circumstance is, no matter what anyone's gone through, we can all connect on that basic need for love and laughter and to have fun. And a little face paint always helps. So they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. A single image can tell an entire story. And I'm not saying that a selfie can't do that. Some really good selfies are out there. But I want to encourage you that as you're going along in life, those moments that you experience are important. And photography is an amazing way to capture that for yourself. But don't forget that there's a world outside of you, and that there's other things waiting to be seen and waiting for your light to give them a chance to be seen. Which brings me to South Africa. South Africa has taught me many, many things. The first of which is to greet someone before you ask something of them. I know this seems pretty basic to you, but it was really hard for me to get. Where I come from, having to say, hello, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? I'm good. Okay, that's like 7 seconds wasted of that person's life, right? Not okay. So I was struggling with this because people, they just always respond, I'm good, how are you? So I was struggling, like if someone was gonna be honest, it's fine. So I asked my husband, remember he's South African, why this is so prevalent and why people get offended when I forget to ask. And he explained it to me so beautifully. He said, by asking someone and by greeting them first, you are acknowledging their humanity before anything else. And I thought that was so beautiful. And that has taken me on a journey from the individualistic mindset of much of North America to the collective spirit of Ubuntu that South Africa is so well known for. I am who I am because of who we are as a people. I see you not because of what you can do for me, but because you are human, as I am human. It is the opposite of a selfie. It's when we turn ourselves out and we allow our light to shine into the world around us. So as we're on this path, as we're lighting up our worlds and the worlds around us, sometimes there can be too much light. So when you're taking a photograph, if the light and the image doesn't work together properly, it won't work. So you can have the best subject matter, the best composition, you can set it up, but if the light isn't working in your favor, the image is going to fail and the moment will be gone. We live in a world full of competition and a race to promote our own personal gain. But I believe this places limitations, not just on ourselves, but on the humanity on a whole. We are starving the world of our potential and our gifts by keeping it to ourselves. So I want to encourage you to let your light shine out. Don't just point it at yourself. Don't just use it for your own advancement, but use it for the world around you. In my photography, the purpose is what I like to call demystifying diversity. So in this, I'm sure you guys have ideas, but you're a bit scared. You're a bit scared of the unknown, things you're unfamiliar with. That's something we all experience. So in my photography, what I like to do is connect my audience, you guys, with the subjects in my portraits. So you can see this group of kids, they're high school students, all decked out in their high school gear, on their way to school. And I spent many nights up late with them. And do you know what we talked about? We talked about boys and girls and homework and fears and dreams and hopes, just like you guys. But they have been through so much. They have been through so much pain. All of them had lost their parents, many of them due to the war in the north, and some due to sickness. And they all lived in little rooms with 10 other teenagers, with everything they owned in a bag at the end of their bed. In order to earn pocket money, they would make necklaces out of magazines or greeting cards out of dried banana leaves, and they would sell them. And with the money they got from that, they would use to buy things like soap, some chips if they had a bit of extra, some hair stuff. And what was so inspiring is this group of kids one day, do you remember that family I showed you at the beginning? They were really close. They lived right next door to each other. We were all kind of in the same plantation, if that's what you want to call it. So they decided one day, it had been a really hard rainy season, and so many of the houses had been ultimately destroyed. So they decided to pool together all of their pocket money that they had earned through that season and buy tin roof sheeting and to go to that woman's house and to rebuild her house. They bought her soap and new clothing, and they built up her entire house. They rebuilt the walls, they put the roof sheeting on so that it wouldn't flood again. And that was the most inspiring thing I've ever witnessed. These kids had every reason to feel sorry for themselves, every reason to stay in their room and worry about their own advancement and just try to make it through. But they decided to be a part of the bigger picture. They took what they had and decided to be a part of the collective whole. And in that, their lives were a light. Their lives were a light to that family, and now their lives are a light to you. And that story has been taken all over the world. I love sharing it. I just want to encourage you today, as you turn your camera around, to reach your full potential by releasing yourself to be a part of that bigger story. Don't be the light that works to outshine all the other lights, but shine yourself onto those dark areas to expose such a beautiful picture that we can all be if we can all work together. My face isn't in any of my photographs, but their story is a part of me, and my story is a part of their story. It's a collective story of what we can accomplish together as the human family. I will leave you with a quote by my hero, Desmond Tutu. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Thank you.